Welcome to my YouTube channel. Timeless Tales. Start story. Heartbreak. He left her at the altar. Years later, she walked into his office as his boss. I'll write it in simple, clear English suitable for text-to-speech narration. It will move slowly, with atmosphere, emotions, natural pauses, and dialogue. Word count will be between 2,000–4,000 words. Here's your full story. Heartbreak. He left her at the altar. Years later, she walked into his office as his boss. The church bells had rung that morning, years ago, with a rhythm that was supposed to mark the happiest day of Emily Carter's life. She remembered the fragrance of roses filling the air, the white veil falling gently against her face, and the trembling excitement in her chest. Friends and family had gathered. Her father, with tears of pride in his eyes, had taken her hand to walk her down the aisle. But when the music began and the crowd turned, the groom, Daniel Hayes, was not standing at the altar. The place meant for him was empty. The whispers spread first like a quiet drizzle and then like a storm. Emily's heart pounded harder with every second that passed. She kept waiting, kept praying he would walk in late, smiling nervously, apologizing for the delay. But he never came. That was the day her world broke apart. Years later, time has a strange way of healing and hardening at the same time. For Emily, the heartbreak became fuel. She had always been determined, but now her determination had edges sharper than glass. She poured herself into her career, studied harder than ever, and built walls around her heart. By the time she was 35, Emily Carter was no longer the fragile bride who had once waited in a church. She was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing marketing firms in New York City. Her name carried weight, her words shaped deals, and her leadership inspired hundreds of employees. Yet, at night, when the lights of Manhattan flickered outside her apartment window, she sometimes thought of that moment at the altar. The silence, the humiliation, the unanswered question of why. A normal Monday morning. It was a Monday morning like many others. Emily walked through the glass doors of Carter & Company, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She greeted her assistant, collected her schedule, and prepared for another round of meetings. Her assistant mentioned, almost casually, "We've got a few new hires joining today. One of them is from a smaller firm that recently shut down. His name's Daniel Hayes." Emily froze for a second, her pen pausing midair. A name she hadn't spoken in years suddenly floated back into her world. She forced her expression to remain calm. "Daniel Hayes," she repeated softly, almost tasting the bitterness of it. "Yes," the assistant replied, unaware of the storm brewing beneath Emily's calm eyes. "You'll probably meet him this afternoon during the orientation session." The first encounter. The conference room was filled with new employees, each looking hopeful and nervous. Emily entered gracefully, her presence commanding respect. Her eyes scanned the room, and then stopped. There he was, Daniel Hayes. His hair was a little grayer, his suit less crisp, his shoulders slightly heavier with the weight of years. But it was him, the man who had once promised forever and then vanished without explanation. Daniel's eyes widened the moment he saw her. His lips parted, as if to speak, but no words came out. For a moment, time folded back, and the church bells seemed to echo again in both their ears. Emily addressed the group, her voice steady. "Welcome to Carter & Company. I'm Emily Carter, your CEO. I look forward to seeing the passion and creativity you'll bring to our firm." Her gaze brushed over Daniel, cold and distant, before moving on. Private confrontation. Later that afternoon, Emily called Daniel into her office. The city skyline glowed behind her as she sat at her desk, hands folded neatly. "Sit," she said. Her voice was calm, but beneath it lay steel. Daniel obeyed, looking uncomfortable under her gaze. "Emily," he began softly. She raised a hand. Not yet. You don't get to say my name so easily. Not after what you did." He lowered his eyes. Silence hung heavy between them. Finally, Emily asked the question that had burned inside her for over a decade. "Why? Why did you leave me standing there, humiliated in front of everyone we knew?" Daniel's throat tightened. His hands fidgeted in his lap. "I was scared," he admitted finally, his voice cracking. "I wasn't ready. I thought I loved you, but I was drowning in doubt. Instead of being honest, I ran. It was the worst mistake of my life." Emily's jaw tightened. "Do you know what that did to me?" To my family. I had to rebuild myself from ashes while you, what? Disappeared. He nodded, shame in his eyes. I know I can't erase it. I've lived with the guilt every day. I lost everything, Emily. Career, relationships, and now, somehow, fate brought me here. To you. The gentle twist. For weeks, Emily wrestled with herself. Part of her wanted to fire him immediately, to watch him suffer the way she once had. But another part, quieter, deeper, wondered if fate had delivered him back into her life for a reason. She observed him at work. He was diligent, humble, and respectful to colleagues. He didn't seek special treatment, nor did he try to win her forgiveness with words. He simply did his job with quiet determination. One evening, as she left her office, she saw Daniel staying late, helping a younger intern finish a project. There was kindness in his gestures, patience in his tone. For the first time, Emily saw not the man who left her, but the man who had changed. The conversation that changed everything. One rainy evening, Emily finally invited Daniel back into her office. The sound of raindrops against the windows filled the silence between them. I've been watching you, she began. You're not the same man I once knew. Daniel looked down. I'm not proud of who I was. I hurt you in a way I can never undo. But all I can do now is prove I'm different, through my actions, not empty promises. Emily leaned back, studying him. Do you want my forgiveness? He hesitated, then shook his head. I don't deserve it. What I want is the chance to show you that people can change. That I've changed. For the first time in years, Emily felt the weight in her chest loosen. She realized something powerful. Holding on to anger was only keeping her tied to the past. The ending. Months passed. Daniel became a respected member of the company, admired by colleagues for his honesty and work ethic. Emily remained firm, professional, but slowly her heart softened. One day, after a long meeting, she walked with him toward the elevator. The silence between them was no longer sharp, it was gentle. You know, she said softly, life has a way of surprising us. I thought I'd never see you again. And if I did, I thought I'd destroy you. But, maybe fate wanted me to see that people can grow. That forgiveness isn't weakness. Daniel looked at her, his eyes filled with quiet gratitude. Thank you, Emily. Even hearing that means more than you'll ever know. She smiled faintly, the first genuine smile she had given him in years. We're not the same people we once were. And that's a good thing. As the elevator doors closed, Emily felt a sense of peace. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need old promises. What she needed was the freedom that came with letting go. And in that freedom, she found strength. Thanks for watching.